Hey folks, I'm Donnie the Fuzzy Faced Fisherman. Thanks for joining me here at Red Dirt Fishing. I'm going to show you 3 baits I'm tying on my lines to start fishing in the month of March here in Red Dirt Country. Alright, so the month of March is an exciting month for fishing here in my neck of the woods. The month of March, the weather's warming up just a skosh. We've got fish moving, alright, they're moving in the water, they're starting to get a little bit hungry, they're starting to feed a little bit. You can change up the way that you fish a little bit. You're not so necessarily working in such cold temperatures all the time. The fish are actually starting to move up in a little bit shallower waters. If you fish from the bank, it's a great time of year season, but the season's picking up for the bank fishermen. The being able to find the fish isn't necessarily as difficult. So, the first bait I'm going to tie on, you're going to find tied to my lines the month of March, is actually going to be a chatterbait, right? And I've got an old school chatterbait here, one of the originals. However, I want you to take note of the color, right? Look at the color in there. I've got this red-orange, got some black flake in there. This is what they call it a crawfish color sometimes. I mean, I've heard it called all different things, but the color is what I wanted to mention here. This thing right here is springtime fishing written all over it, right? So even if you're fishing lipless crankbaits or squarebills or whatever, this orange and red color this time of year seems to really work out great. So this is going to be the first bait you find tied to my lines this month. Not to say this is going to be the only one. This is a kind of, I argue with some of the guys that work, this is an actual jig. The chatterbait is a jig, the bladed jig, if you will. It's in the name. So bladed jig, chatterbait, that's the first bait tied to my lines this month. The second bait, right? So what that chatterbait's going to allow me to do, before I go on to my second bait, back to the bladed jig. What I'm going to be able to do with that thing is cover quite a bit of water. I can move it fast if I want to. I can slow it down if I want to. If you want to pick up on a heavier weight, that'll get you down to the bottom. But I'm looking at 3/8 ounce and trying to work it a little bit faster through the water column, keeping it up off of the bottom, probably in that middle chunk of water, maybe a little bit higher up if possible. My second bait is going to bring me a little bit down deeper in the water column, and as I said, the fish maybe have already moved shallow in some of the places, some of the creeks that I'm fishing around. So I'm going to have a squarebill on here, and I've got this is a thunderhawk, but this is going to be the squarebill that I'm fishing with. One of the first lures I tie on in the month of March, especially fishing around some of those laydowns. I've got a couple docks, a couple boat ramps. They've got some beautiful laydowns to the left and to the right of them. That's where I'm going to be throwing this guy this month. But what this is going to allow me to do is bump around, because the laydowns are around some rocks too. I can bump off the rocks. This will actually bump off a lot of those big stumps quite beautifully. I don't get hung up with this one. I don't know what it is. It's just, I'm not endorsing the brand or anything, but a lot of squarebills are very good at deflecting. This is a narrow body. There's not a lot of action. If you can see, it's pretty narrow body. It's not very rounded, so his wiggle is going to be pretty minimum in the water, which is fine this time of year. That's bait number 2 that I'm tying on my lines in the month of March. Now, both of those baits are going to allow me to cover a little bit of water. I can work the rod a little bit quicker. If I want to slow down and use a little bit of finesse, it's an oldie but a goodie. It's the Fluke, right? So I've got some zooms. This is my Excite Flukes. The 4-inch Flukes, and the rigging is key when it comes to a fluke. And I didn't tie anything on to show you, but I'll tell you, I will generally rig these guys up weightless, right? I will rig it up weightless. I'll put a 16, 18-inch leader on it, put a swivel on the top, and that's really all the weight that there is. And so as this thing moves through the water, you get the imitation of a little shad chasing some sort of forage, and hoping to entice a bigger predator. Now, these guys can be rigged up with a weighted hook if you want to put some weight on it. You can Texas rig it if you really want to. They're pretty versatile, but I prefer the weightless option. I have belly weighted a few of these in the past. I don't like the action on them. I think you get a better action when you don't, when they're completely weightless, swivel not included. But the action you're looking for, you're going to pitch it out there, let it sink to whatever depth you're looking for, and it's a jerk, jerk, pause, jerk, jerk, pause, jerk, 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 pause. Don't be afraid to pause it for a good 2 or 3 seconds sometimes. Dead stick it. That's a lot of times when you're going to get that strike from a bass. But this is going to be the third one I tie on. Now I'll tell you, I've also take a marker with me. You'll find a marker in my tackle box. I'll draw a little dot on here sometimes because I love the shad imitation so much. But again, third bait tied on my lines. I'm going to give you another good look at it here. Just a good old-fashioned fluke. And if you're familiar with the channel, there's always a bonus bait, right? Bonus bait this month. It's an exciting time of year. So it's a frog. Frogging season is here, folks. I'm going to start pitching a frog this month. I've seen actually a little bit of amphibious life around in the local ponds, so I know the frogs are out and about. I'm definitely going to start pitching a frog this time of the year. I'm stoked about it because I love frogging. I'm definitely gonna gear up a little bit. A lot of my rods and reels have got some lighter line and lighter tackle just all around. And frogging, I'm gonna have to step up my game a little bit with the beefiness of my reels and my line. But anyway, that being said, folks, those are the baits that I'm tying on this month. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you're gonna be fishing with in the month of March. Let me know where you're from. That's gonna matter because it's not temperature and everything's not the same everywhere. So once again, guys, I'm Donnie the Fuzzy Face Fisherman. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, tight lines to you.